this is a project that I was preparing for a camp that I taught recently, but it's a really fabulous way at getting at ink and watercolor without having to put a lot of thought into it. So the first step is just focusing on lines. So breaking up the paper using horizontal, vertical lines. You could even go diagonal if you wanted to, and then tracing around with shapes. So for this one, I just decided to use circles, and I'm tracing around my water cup that I use for watercolor, and just kind of further breaking up the space on the page and kind of fragmenting the circles with overlapping the lines and the line rectangles and squares by putting on the circles. And then after you're done with that, then you start going in with different patterns because the camp is really focusing on the elements of art. So line, shape, pattern, color, texture, that kind of idea. So for this one, it was kind of a combo of different elements of art. So starting with lines, then going to shapes, and then now adding in some different textures and patterns by repeating the designs. So I'm just doing some horizontal lines, some zigzag lines, wavy lines, adding in some various size circles. So we're getting some scale in there, which is another element of art, and just really continuing to break up and add interest to the different segments of the paper. And then also playing around with variety, so having some repetition of the designs, but really kind of having a variety of where they go and how they work themselves into the segments of the drawing that I've created. And there's really, what I love about this is that there really isn't a lot you have to think about. I mean, each step kind of helps take you towards the culmination of this art project. And as whatever idea comes to mind is great, and there's no way to screw it up, and you don't have to really, get crazy intense about what you do and where you put it, and just kind of let your inspiration go wild. And you can get as complicated or as simple with the designs that you add. And then after I finished drawing in all of the different ink details that I wanted to with a waterproof marker, I'm going to go in with my watercolors. And I decided to just use my standard pan set that I use when I'm teaching camps with various aged younger students, because I wanted my example to mirror what we're doing with class as far as materials go. But you could use any type of watercolors that you have on hand. You could even do this with something other than watercolor. This would be great with any drawing medium where you'd be able to see the marker through it. So colored pencils, oil pastels would be a little thick, soft pastels could work potentially. But the idea with adding the color is I recommend doing a limited color palette so that you're creating some unity across your paper as you kind of paint various sections with repeated color. I decided to go with blue, yellow, red, and violet for this one. And then I also decided to kind of sometimes stay within the shapes that I created. And then sometimes I decided to expand that even bigger. So you'll see areas where I'm doing, like on the far right side, I've got the quarter part of my circle, but then I extend that down to the other shape that's created between where those two circles cut off the rectangle. And then other parts, I've got it kind of staying within where that open space is or where that specific pattern lives. So the violets are mostly staying in the broken down spaces that I've created, but I also have one where I'm doing a section of a circle but extending over to actually fill in the whole rectangle that circle cut into. And then the red one, I decided to also play with larger shapes and smaller shapes with how I put my color in. So the red one, I decided to go in and do, quite a large area with, two of most of my rectangles and then a little part of the circle that connects to it. And there's really no rhyme or reason to this. It's just kind of whatever feels right in the moment. So this is a great exercise you can do when you're not sure what to create and you just kind of want to get to it. It's a good warm-up. It's a great sketchbook exercise. You could incorporate Zentangling if that's something that you enjoy doing and you have some background in or you want to dive into a little bit. And it's just a great way to have a low stakes creative art session working with mixed media. So definitely give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you get notified when I post new content. And I'll see you next time.